People say to us, I don't have time to make healthy meals. You have a lot of demands placed on you all the time. Are you so overwhelmed that making healthy meals isn't possible? It's easy to say that there are other things that take high priority, but let's take a close look at what's really important and how to make it all work for you. Welcome to the Wellness Champion Podcast, sponsored by Healthy Transformation Nation. We believe that your health and wellness is determined by your own self-care more than anything else. Join us for each episode when we discover and uncover the keys to self-care in today's complex culture. We enjoy helping others discover the best ways to be well. We'll be visiting the basics for self-care and ongoing wellness that enables you to not only survive, but to thrive. Wellness Champion Podcast. Given how important your health is to you, there are 3 things that should be top quality for you to achieve the best health condition possible. 3 things that will not only keep you alive, but ensure that you thrive. Breathing, hydration, nutrition. Don't have time to make healthy meals? It's a good thing you don't have to make time to breathe, right? But wait, there's intentional breathing. Do you make time for that? If not, check out our podcast number 1, Breathing with a Purpose. You may feel that you don't have time to make healthy meals, but it's an investment in yourself. Finding the time to do what's necessary to live and thrive is the most important investment you'll make today. When you have so much demand on you that you're unable to properly care for yourself, then this is an alert that means you should have a look at what's going on in your life and see what's holding you back from being your best self. I used to prioritize everything over meal prep. It just seemed like a nuisance activity, and with so many other options available, I just thought, why bother? I leaned heavily on packaged and processed foods, but after learning about nutrition, the processed and packaged foods are just not an option for me any longer. I had to reevaluate my priorities and decide for myself what is truly important to me. Meal planning is one thing that really helped me a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Now, meal planning for some people, they look at it as like they do it once a week. They're meal prepping, and in the sense of they have containers, it's all prepped out, it's all done like that. For me, meal prepping is more of the mental piece of it. And what I mean by that is that I formulate in my mind the meals that I want for the week, and then I do the shopping according to that. I do it that way. And because I personally like to cook my food daily. I like to, if it's going to be something that's going to be cooked, I like to have it. Now, if it's something that isn't like salad fixings, things like that, that's easy to prep ahead of time. And what I usually like to do is I like to make a really, really big salad and then break it in half with all of the basics that I usually put in my salad, so I have 2 meals. So I'll do things like that. And I find that it really makes it easier for me on those days that I'm extra busy to have something like that. So on a day like Sunday, which isn't as busy of a day, I could set myself up with a few meals and doing it that way. So for the meal prep, I can make it so I'm set up that way. But for me personally, I enjoy doing it the day of and having that meal set out in my head.
Yeah, I like cooking the day of too. I mean, there are some things that I may prepare ahead of time. For example, like protein for me is a big thing. That oftentimes it takes longer to cook that than it does any other part of the meal.
Right.
Because you want to make sure that your protein is thoroughly cooked. So oftentimes I'll use the Instant Pot, or if you have a slow cooker, the Instant Pot is great. The pressure cooker is great for like chicken, things like that. You toss it in there. It takes, you can just set it and forget it. You set it and then the alarm goes off a little while later and it's done. And I do that ahead of time, like on a day that I can just, like on a weekend day or something. And that's the other thing too. When I plan the meals, I'm looking at the meals that I'm going to have for the times that I'm busy. Like I know what times of the week I'm going to be busy. And so I will not plan for having any meal during that time, which is going to take a long time to prepare. It just makes sense. So think, like you were saying, in your mind, just kind of formulate it. Think ahead, you kind of have a general idea of what your schedule is going to be like. So I just simply I plan for having quick meals during the times when I know I need to have a quick meal, and I leave the more elaborate meals for the times when I know I have time for that.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we don't always eat the same thing either, like all the time. But a lot of the protein part of it that you're talking about is something that we do have in common a lot. It's just usually the other parts of like what's the rest of the meal going to look like. So I have a little bit more time in my schedule because I've really set up my schedule that way. So I have a lot more time later in the day. So there are times that I'm ready and I'm cooking and I will set something up for Bill. So Bill has, because if a lot of times he's working on some extra projects, then what I do is I'll get him set up, even if it's just with the protein, that gives him that base that's all cooked. And then he sometimes will have what I have also made, or sometimes he creates something completely different because it's based on what he feels he needs in that moment. And I love that as well because that gives you the flexibility.
Yeah, I love it when Nikilette, makes she'll grill some tuna steak and she'll throw another tuna steak on for me, so that I can have that ahead of time prepared, so that I can just simply make the rest of it. And usually I'll do something like a salad or something like that, and I'll dice the grilled tuna up into the salad, something like that.
Yeah. It's nice to have a supportive partner.
So, and you can do this as well. I mean, you can whether you're making meals for yourself or for your entire family.
That's
if you
right.
look at it that way, where you can, some parts of it you can plan ahead.
Absolutely.
It's
a lot of fun too.
Right. Multitasking is another thing that we've kind of learned to do when we're making meals. Doing other things while cooking. Like when there's downtime. You can kind of take care of some other tasks like checking email or calling your mom or something like that.
I personally like cleaning the kitchen because you got everything prepped and you did all your prep work and then everything's cooking or whatever it is wherever you're at in that moment, especially if you're cooking proteins. During that cook time, that's when I like to empty the dishwasher, fill the dishwasher, wash any dishes that are left over from cooking. That's always really helpful. So that way your cleanup is going to be a lot easier. I always look at ways to make it quicker and more efficient. So I'm spending more time with you and more time enjoying my meal than thinking I have to do this, that, and the other. I want to get things done in a way that makes the cleanup time much easier, more efficient.
One of my favorite things to do while I'm cooking, while I'm preparing my meals, is I'll either have a master class running or something I want to catch up on, a video series that I want to catch up on, or something on YouTube or something like that. I'll be having that on the kitchen counter on a tablet or on my phone while I'm doing the meal prep, and it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. As long as it's something that I don't really have to follow a recipe for and concentrate on, I'll be focusing on learning whatever it is I'm learning in the masterclass or something at the same time while I'm preparing the meals. So that kind of works for me.
Yeah, it's great when you're doing something alone, because sometimes I'll be doing the same thing. Sometimes I'll be in a meeting with others or whatever, and just doing that because those are the casual meetings. I'm able to do that. It's fun.
Yeah. How many times have I witnessed Nikilette in the kitchen on a Zoom call while she's making her lunch or something? So
That's right.
Yeah.
And I like the calling your mom, because I actually do call my mom when I'm cooking. Yeah. She's like, "What are you making?" And they'll fill her in. She's like, "Well, that sounds good." I'm like, "Well, I'll give you the recipe."
Yeah. Now, the third thing that we wanted to mention, so we've talked about meal planning ahead. We've talked about multitasking while you're cooking.
Yep.
And the third thing we want to talk about is mindful time management. So managing your time is a key. I mean, look at your daily schedule and see if there's any time-wasting activities that can be set aside to make more room for meal prep, which is a real priority for you.
I agree. I think it's things that I have been really incorporating in my life are the things that I procrastinate on. And if I don't procrastinate on those things and I just take care of those things, then I find I have so much more time, because I'm not wasting it thinking about what I need to do and get caught up in those things. And I find that making the best use of my time is having a schedule. Now, of course, schedules can change and there's got to be some flexibility, but having something scheduled and structured really does make a difference for me personally.
Yeah.
I always have a kind of a set time in my body that I run around that 4 o'clock time, 4 to 4:30 window, that I know that I want to make dinner. That's the time I want to start making dinner, because my body is looking to get into that phase of the day. So I've learned through my natural rhythm and setting myself up with my work day on how to get to that meal prepping and cooking and getting into actually thoroughly enjoying the process too. Because before, when I wasn't being mindful of my time, I would kind of cram it in, and it was more of a stressful thing to do than it was actually a pleasing thing to do. Now when I'm cooking, I actually enjoy it. I really do enjoy it a lot. It's a lot of fun for me. Just taking the time to smell what I'm actually making, to maybe take a nibble here and there, to experience what I'm creating. And that makes the joy of what I'm doing, instead of it being like you talked about, that nuisance you were talking about earlier on.
Right.
So having a schedule and having, that time management piece come in is really important. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, well, the time management too is just so that we can become more efficient overall as well.
Absolutely.
Because if you're looking at things that you're spending time on that are taking priority over things that should take priority over them, then you're just being more efficient overall as well. If you're spending time on things that aren't as important to you as nutrition, then evaluate those things and decide, which things nutrition is more important over those. So yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's true with every part of our lives, every aspect, if you just want to be more efficient overall. But I think that especially when it comes to nutrition, that we really need to prioritize.
Yeah, it's an investment in your wellness. I thoroughly hear you on that loud and clear. Before, I would just kind of throw something together, and pre-packaged, pre-made foods were just really easy to do. And what I found was they didn't really satisfy me as far as feeling full and satisfied. The taste was not anything like what I can make. And I found that the quality was way less than what I was when I make my own food. And so taking that time to do that for yourself, you would think that things will take a long time because you're taking the time to prep. Now, granted, if you get something that's prepackaged, you throw it in the microwave, it's going to take, maybe 5 minutes. If you put it in the oven, it might be 10 to 15 minutes, but you can prep meals and cook meals within that time frame. 15 minutes, you can make an amazing meal that tastes amazing. It fills up your body with the nutritional value that it needs, and you're not spending hours of time making it.
A great example is when we're going to go somewhere, like have a family outing,
right?
And that, because we want to get going, we want to get there, we're thinking about what we're going to be doing while we're at this event, wherever it might be. We don't plan for the meal part of it. We just say, okay, well, we'll just get something while we're there, or we'll get something out, or we'll take care of that on the road. But if you just simply make the time as part of that adventure, like let's say you're going to go to the amusement park. You're going to take the whole family to the amusement park. And, between gathering all the kids together and getting everything all ready to go, you probably hadn't planned on what you're going to be eating, because you figure, well, we'll just get something at the park.
Right.
But that the stuff that you buy at the park is not going to be your top choice for what you should be putting in your body. You know that. But, with the time constraints and everything, you make that sacrifice. You make that you make that choice that you prioritize everything else over getting there and having fun over your meal part of it, the nutrition part of it. However, if you just simply were to reframe that in your mind and make the meal prep as part of that adventure. Okay, so we're going to go to the amusement park. There are certain things we have to do to get ready, and making, making some sort of meal ahead of time is the thing.
Yeah, I think it's really
It's part
great
of
you're
that
bringing
thing.
that up too, because you can actually include, if you have children, you can actually include children in part of this and get them excited about, creating their own snacks, creating their own meals, and having them do that, like for something like this specifically, where it's something
Yeah.
really quick, and just hear what they want as well. It might surprise you, or create something for them that maybe they don't normally have as a snack. I know, like, I had someone, a child recently say to me, "I want healthy foods," and I said, "Well, what's a healthy food to you?" Just talking about what that means to that child, because that's really, it does change. It is different for each person. It's different from person to person as what they like. So for me, I love to have carrots with almond butter. That's one of my favorite snacks. But for you, you don't really like that. So would you prefer maybe celery with almond
no, I like
butter?
that.
Well, you prefer, that's a lot of sweet for you.
Oh,
That's the
yeah.
reason why.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you've talked to me a little bit more about the celery and the almond butter.
Yeah.
It does have more about, I'm more on the sweet stuff sometimes, and that's where I'll put those two together. But having the choice and creating these snacks, like you said, you're creating an experience instead of looking at it as a nuisance. You're investing that little bit of time and thought and preparation into your day. You're just incorporating it and making it part of your life, and that's what we're talking about, is lifestyle overall with it. So another thing that, as far as meal prep goes, that I've delved into a few times are meal kits that come delivered to your house. They do have those that are out there. However, I'm very specific because I look at each ingredients of what they offer in their meal kits. Because if it's got sugar or dairy or grains, it's not coming in here into our home typically. So I am very specific about those meal kits. Now, they can be very, very good, and we've found a couple that are really good, but we're able to customize what we actually want to be delivered to our home, and I love that. So if you find ones that are customizable like that, that is a great way to get the food delivered to you, especially if you do have a busy lifestyle. You're getting high quality, good foods, nutrient dense into your whole foods, into your body. And the prep time is not very long in making those either, which I really love. I love that the prep time is usually about 10 minutes or so, and then the cooking time does not take very long at all. And before you know it, in less than 30 minutes, you have an amazing meal ready to go. If you feel that you don't have the time it takes to make healthy meals with whole foods that will enable you and your family to thrive, then search your feelings for what's truly important to you and your family. This is mainly a mindset issue. We've talked about meal planning, multitasking during meal prep, and using mindful time management to keep you on your path to your best wellness.
When you're feeling like you need some ideas, advice, and support for your next meal, join us over at htnforyou.com. That's our private online community for connection and conversation around all things wellness and self-care. We're looking forward to seeing you there.